what the city is talking about.
The news that impacts you.
Welcome to the Montreal Now podcast.
Fady Dagher is Montreal's police chief. I should point out now, can you stay for a couple of minutes? Do you have to run somewhere right away?
I always have to run.
Yeah, but can you manage like 5-6 more minutes?
5 minutes. 5-6 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know we have to get you parking here in order for you to come today. That's pretty embarrassing for the police chief, for his media team to say he'll only come if we have parking.
Yeah, listen.
So you're the police chief. You could park anywhere.
No, I can't.
You're not going to get a ticket.
I'm not above the law. No, I can't park anywhere I want.
I would go to court to defend you if you got a ticket.
Okay, listen.
And I would win that case. But let's move on. You called the press conference today. This is something, we talked a lot about when the story first broke. There was a court ruling challenging police in terms of random stops. We know there have been plenty of cases. I've had Phony Emmy on here enough times to talk about people who have been stopped for no reason. More often than not, it's racialized. They are people of color. And it's not being stopped once or twice. It's being stopped 3, 5, 10, 20 times. So today, there was a court ruling, by the way, to say you shouldn't be allowed to do this. We were waiting to see if it would be appealed.
Exactly.
You had a press conference today. What are you going to tell us?
So what I told the people today is, first of all, there's no more random stop check. From what I told the population is, from now on, the police officer, first of all, as soon as he approach you, if he's in an interpellation, which is police check, he have to let you know why he's approaching you, first of all.
Does that mean, like, if standing on the street in a car, it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
No. Thank you for the question. The car is completely different. We'll come back on that. Okay. Let me start with the police check. So the police officer approach you. He have to tell you why he's approaching you. The second thing he have to tell you right away.
Okay.
You're allowed to leave right away. At the beginning of the intervention, he have to tell you you're allowed to leave. You're not obligated to stay. Why? Because during the different meetings with different groups, like Foniemi and all the teams, all the different groups, people told us, Fady, you have no idea how people are impressed or scared when the police approach them. And they feel that they're being detained psychologically without even knowing if they have the right to leave or no. So just to make sure that the people don't have the perception of being detained psychologically, we're going to tell them from the beginning, this is why I'm approaching you, and you have the right to leave.
So if you feel uncomfortable, having been approached by the police, you have the right to just walk away.
But the police officer is going to tell you, I'm approaching you because of those reasons. He's going to be observing some facts. I'm going to give you an example. Can I?
Please,
okay.
Yeah.
A gentleman or a person, human being sitting in the park and taking pictures of kids. We didn't receive any 911 calls yet. And he's sitting there taking pictures. The normal citizen in Montreal, in Quebec, in Montreal, he'll be wondering, hello, where are the cops? Can they go meet the person, talk to the person?
Would someone have had to call to complain about this first?
Not even. The cops is driving around.
And he sees this. Okay.
So he step outside his car, he go meet the person. Hi, sir. Let me ask you, why are you taking pictures of the kids? You're allowed to leave if you want to, but I have to ask you, why are you taking pictures? The person, two scenarios. The person say, I'm not answering you. I'm going to leave right there. Mm-hmm. If the police officer doesn't have the motive, doesn't have any suspicions, and enough suspicions to detain you, you're allowed to leave. But you have to understand one thing. It's not because he left that I don't have the information who and what he looked like, what his dress, what he was doing there. And so I have the investigation starting already. And I'm asking all my cops to document everything that they're doing. If the second day or the third day, the same person in different park, he's taking pictures again, wait a minute. Now I have some motive. Something's wrong with that person.
Okay.
So I can detain him during the investigation.
If that person, as you're describing, is asked by a police officer to show ID, does the person have the right to say no?
Yeah. You have to. If I don't have motive, if I'm just doing this police check,
preliminary investigation.
Exactly.
What are you doing? It's none of your business. You can leave.
You can leave. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I say, still, even if he left, I register everything in my document.
Right.
It gives me some tools on the investigation for later if I ever see him again.
So what happens next time you see him? Doing the same thing in another park?
No, that's a different ball game, because now I'm wondering, wait a minute. Maybe the first time he had an excuse, or he didn't tell me, but he's been doing it randomly all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, then I'm going to push the investigation, and I'm going to have motive to ask him, please identify yourself. No, I don't want to. Well, you have no choice now. You're detained. Okay. I'm explaining to you why.
Fair enough. Then I had brought up, you said, thank you for asking. I brought up, what if you're a motorist now and you get stopped? Okay.
The the car is a complete different ballgame. Why? Because we've been, and I'm happy that you asked a question, because people are confusing between police check on the street when you're walking or you're seeing the park, and when I'm stopping you in your car for traffic, for the CSR, the security code of the road. A police officer, when you're sitting and you're driving, on a driver, you have no right not to answer the police officer. You have the obligation to stop, and he have to tell you, first of all, why he's stopping you, because you burn the red light.
Okay.
And you have to answer all the questions of the cop. And you've been detained temporarily the time of the investigation. This is a completely different thing. People are confusing police check on the street and the police when we stop you during you driving your car.
So when this police officer stops a motorist and comes to the car, and again, let me go back to the show me your ID or license registration.
Yes.
You have to give it to the officer.
You have to give. You have no choice.
Do you have the right to ask him, why was I stopped?
Yes, absolutely. And the police have to tell you why you've been stopped. But you have no right to leave without to answer all the questions of the police officer.
And before they tell you that you can leave.
Yes. And let's say you're a passenger and you're wearing your belt and you didn't do anything wrong, and the police officer asks your ID. He have the right to ask you, and you have the right to answer, no, thank you, I'm not giving you my ID. But if you don't have the belt on you, you have to answer the question of the police officer, because you've been doing an infraction.
Whoa, hold on. We're now talking about the passenger in the car who's asked for ID, has a right to say, no, I'm not giving you my ID.
If he wear the belt on him.
So on a technicality, because you're not wearing a seatbelt as the passenger, you lose that right to say, I'm not giving you ID.
He's doing an infraction.
So you're going to give him a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt?
Absolutely.
The passenger?
Yes.
Okay. But if that passenger does provide the ID, still not wearing the belt,
he's still maybe going to get a ticket, because it's the discretionnaire. It's a power.
It's up to the officer to decide.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm focusing on what I'm talking to you about, the driving, because I've been hearing so many stories in the South, in the United States, and it's been really, I'm worried, because some people tell their kids, you have the right not to answer the cop when you're driving.
See a lot of
and
that.
You're wearing your belt or not your belt. He doesn't have the right to stop you. You continue. Wait a minute. No. I want to be clear with everybody. A driver, when I stopped him for yellow, red light ticket or stop sign, he didn't do it. The cop is going to tell you why he's stopping you, and you cannot leave.
Okay. There's a lot of things we were just discussing I did not know, I was not aware of. So I want to go back to where we left off. You're a motorist. You've been pulled over by a police officer. You're told when the officer approaches you in the car, you have the right to ask, why did you stop me?
Yes.
The officer must answer that question before he says license and registration, please.
Absolutely.
He must tell you why you were pulled over.
He has to tell you why.
That's all good.
Yeah.
If there's a passenger in your car, and I had no idea this was the case, and that passenger, and the police officer asked the passenger for whatever reason for ID.
Yes.
Okay. If that passenger is wearing his or her seatbelt,
and there's nothing else, well, that passenger doesn't have to answer.
Does not have to answer, does not have to provide ID or anything else.
If there's nothing else.
However, if that same passenger is not wearing his or her seatbelt,
he have to answer.
Or he's going to get potentially a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt as a passenger.
As a passenger, because he's doing an infraction. This is the reason why the cop asking him, please give me your IDs, and he's going to tell him.
Okay.
He's going to say, why you want my ID? I wasn't even driving. Because you're a passenger and you're not wearing your belt. That's an infraction. Please give me your name.
I did not
know. And the
know.
person have to answer and give the name.
It seems to me, Chief, we have had incidents, though, before where someone has been pulled over in a car as the driver and asked the officer, why did you pull me over?
And the
officer has simply said, give me your license. It's none of your business.
That's not right. I understand the example, but that's not right. We have to tell you why. And we even all the time we tell our police officer, as soon as you get close to the car, to the driver, hello, how are you, sir? You're doing well, okay? This is why I'm stopping you. Please give me your papers. This is the only reason why we're stopping you, because we have to tell them why.
Why did you have this press conference, Teddy? This is in wake of the court decision that said
No, it's not, because what we did, we went on the field, we met different partners, institutional partners, and the civil rights people outside the police, met with them, we sat with them, and they told us, Fady, we don't want you to stop the street check with the police. We don't want you to stop. We don't want the police to still do the job. But the only thing that we cannot agree and accept anymore is those police officers who do randomly, without the fact, observe anything, they just decide whoever they want. Second of all, let us know from the beginning why you're stopping us. And the third, tell us our right that we can leave. This is why we came out on the news and said, listen, what? And you know what the funny part, Aaron? My cops are asking the same thing. They want to be well trained, had the right tools, and write it down. So both sides, I thought they were opposite, and I was wrong. Both sides, they were asking the same thing. Yeah. Cops want to do the right thing, and they want to work with the law, and the community are asking the same thing. Nobody asked me to stop the street check from the community I met, because everybody have a sentiment of security or a sentiment of insecurity, and they all want the police to do a good job.
One other question I want to ask with respect to this, I think this came up one time where someone gets pulled over, and now the police officer would walk over, and the person asks what happened
in the car.
In the car,
okay.
And the officer said, I have a report that this car might be stolen.
Okay, yeah,
but it's not really a report that the car might be stolen.
It depends. When the police officer, before pulling you off, they check your plate, your matriculation, the plate of your matriculation, and maybe they have some information that car can be stolen. Do you know how many cars have been stolen in Montreal?
A lot, yeah. I'm aware.
12,000. One of the biggest city in Canada after Toronto. We are one of the worst one. So when my police officer know that a RAV4 from Toyota or the CR-V from Honda or the Lexus, special cars, we see that there's a potential and we investigate the plate and we have some doubt, we have to go check.
I know you have to go. I want to ask two last things. One, we're just talking off air. I said to you, I was driving to work the other day. I got stopped by a cop. I made a turn from a lane. We had a little discussion. Yeah. And when I said to him, and I started talking English because that's my first language, and his first answer to me after I asked him what's going on was, pardon?
Pardon, yeah.
So I got the sense that he doesn't want to speak English or he's not too comfortable in English. So my question I just asked now, because I'm sure this has happened to others, not every police officer necessarily has a good working order of English, or does?
Well, during the interview, I cannot, I cannot answer that particular event that happened to you, but I can tell you one thing. All the interviews that we gave to our recruit, the future recruits, we all test them in English. So they have to be able to give a discussion and engage a conversation with the people in English. Are they perfectly bilingual? No. To be honest with you, absolutely not. But are they able to discuss and to exchange with the community, with the English community?
They should
absolutely.
be able to.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you the example of Park Extension. I was a supervisor in Park Extension. That means when you're a supervisor, you have 5 to 10 police officers working for you, and you're working on the shift. You know what kind of language we were speaking in Park Extension as a police officer?
That's a pretty diverse community.
Oh my God! Yeah. Not even we had to speak French and English, but you have to be able to use your hand and try to find a way, because some Indians, some Greek people. So the cop who is not able to engage a discussion with not only the English community but with a diverse community, he's going to have issues during his career. So that's why from the beginning we asked them, do you have, first of all, in the interview we test them on the skills of English, but are they perfectly bilingual? No.
What should I have done though when I recognized he wasn't going to speak English?
Well, it depends on you. I cannot guide you to what to say to the police officer, but if, you know what, it goes to the perception, it's very subjective. How you felt, if you felt that, you know what, he doesn't even want to bother speaking English to me, that's a different issue. Okay. If he's trying to speak and have a huge accent, you know what I would tell you? Congratulate him. That means he's really, really trying.
I like that. Chief, as always, I always appreciate you coming in.
too.
Always
I like
appreciate
coming to
chatting.
your
And I
emission.
hope some people learned some stuff today. I know I did, in terms of sitting in a car, not wearing a seatbelt, even as a passenger, that you can be ticketed.
And even as a passenger sitting in the back.
In the back.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that either.
Yes. Yes.
You have to be wearing a seatbelt in the back.
in the back.
Perhaps I should have known all of this. Thank you so much.
Never too late.
Montreal Police Chief Fady Dagher, and some of the new rules, and obviously rules that are designed to make things a little easier for people, for motorists, and
Yes.
for citizens as well.
And we're trying to get closer
Yeah.
to the community and the trust, to have a better trust between the police and the community.
Bringing you the breaking news and the people making it. Montreal Now with Aaron Rand. CJAD 800.
All right, let me get to this story, which is something we've talked about a little bit for the past little while, actually when it was first talked about, because it's going to be implemented June 1st. Bill 96 is kicking in with some new sign language restrictions, laws, compliances that have to happen here. And for some small businesses, this is going to cause a major headache. So first, to explain exactly what's going on, Jean-Phillipe Mikus is a lawyer with the Fasken law firm and is on the line. Jean-Phillipe, thanks for being here. Can you explain what's going to change as of June 1st?
Hi, well, thank you for having me on the show. Listen, the main thing that's going to change is that if you have on your visible from the exterior of your business a trademark that is in a language other than French, you will need to add French text that is that occupies space that is twice as large as the space allotted to the text in this other language. So twice as large. So that's a lot of space.
So can I figure this out? Let's say you're Canadian Tire. Does your sign as of June 1st have to say Centre de Pneu Canadian Tire?
Well, I mean, you can essentially, I won't comment on that specific case, but essentially, yes. I mean, you have to add text. It doesn't need to be the same size as the letters of your trademark, but it has to occupy the same space. So you could choose to have text that's half the size, let's say, of your main trademark, but still, it has to. I mean, if your trademark is very, very large, like some big box retailers, I mean, you need to include lots of space. It will take a lot of real estate on the front of the building.
Okay, again, I realize you can't talk or refer to specific cases. I'm just trying to think out loud here. If you had a brand name, I'll just give an example, Home Depot, okay? Is it enough to have that brand name twice the size or whatever descriptive in French as anything in English?
You translate the brand itself. I mean,
that stays.
That stays. You can keep the same English language brand. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Really, what they're saying is you have to add French, because the problem with that the minister had was that he felt that there was not enough French in public space. So basically, the position they've taken is, well, okay, we won't force people to change their trademark or translate their trademark, but we just want more space to be seen by people who are in public spaces. And that applies not only when you're on a street, but also when you're inside a mall looking into at the businesses that are in the mall.
So they'll have to be, for the ones that don't have any descriptions in French, they will now have to have descriptions in French.
Yeah, I mean, so if their trademark is obviously in English or in another foreign language, and
right.
By the way, it's not just English. If your branding agency decided you needed a fancy Italian name or Spanish name to identify your business, I mean, you might be in this boat with the others.
What happens if you're in Chinatown?
Well, I mean, the same rules apply there. I mean, there's no dispensation for any specific area. So yeah, I mean, if your brand is in Chinese, is in Chinese characters, Japanese characters, Korean characters, it's the same rules.
Wow. Okay. I mentioned this is going to cause headaches for small businesses. I think that's obviously an understatement. Stay where you are for just a sec. I want to talk to someone. I know we've spoken about this before. Beyond just signage, with respect to, say, different things that you might have in your store that you sell, there would have to be French on that, I think, as well. That's what we talked about originally when this came into effect. Matt Coburn is the regional district manager here in Quebec for Long and McQuade. They're a music store. Matt, what does this mean for you?
Well, thanks for having me again. But it's all the products that we sell are going to have to be in French, and or at least have French on their packaging. They have eased up a little bit on French on the items, but only for a temporary period. But yeah, all companies have to comply or we have to take the products off. And in our industry, it's 96% English on all packaging, and companies aren't willing to add French to them. We've asked every company.
So take, for example, I don't know, something that would have something written on it, like a keyboard,
Guitar
for example,
strings,
right?
Or keyboards, yeah.
Okay, so keyboard comes, whatever's on there is already in English, but that's how the manufacturer is sending them out across the world, right? No one else gets it in a different language.
That's right.
And they're obviously not prepared to simply say, oh, to comply with Quebec's Bill 96, we're going to do a special dispensation for you. That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen at all.
What if you were to take that product and the packaging alone? I should ask Jean-Phillipe that. If they change the packaging, Jean-Phillipe, and make that or include French on that, would that be enough to satisfy this?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can always add to product packaging, and I just want to point out, Aaron, that essentially the provisions that are coming into force on June 1, 2025 are have a very narrow focus, which is really. For packaging, it's really, if you have a trademark that includes descriptive words, then a registered trademark that includes descriptive words, you need to translate those descriptive words. So it's not really a new rule that applies to all of the packaging. There are existing rules concerning what needs to be translated on packaging, and obviously you can always, before selling the product, you can always add some French translations.
And that would be enough, you think, according to what they're looking for?
I mean, I think...
Not what we're told, unfortunately.
I was going to say, because if you sell a keyword in a box and you can get away by putting, a French description or whatever, paste it on the box, that doesn't seem to me like it's going to be enough to satisfy this rule, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean,
on the packaging, it has to be a mirror image of all English text. So they want, say if we take a pack of guitar strings, they want an overlay sticker that is 100% covering with all the artwork, with everything, but with French. We can't just take a label maker and just add French to it. Okay. It has to be a mirror image is how it's worded.
That's my question. And Jean-Phillipe, what about in a situation like that?
Well, I mean, it is true that you can't just selectively, translate certain words, but not others. That is true. So It may require, in some cases, to overlay the whole thing.
With all due respect, I mean, this is a case of guitar strings. Can we not just write guitar strings in French minus everything else, all the graphics, whatever, that don't even necessarily have words, and not comply with the law that way?
I mean,
look, QLF says no.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a question of how you present things, and it's the on product packaging as we speak today. The rule is that there must be French equivalent French wording, a translation of these words that are in the packaging, and they need to be at least the same size. So you can't just the current rules do provide you can't put a small label somewhere on the packaging.
Okay. Have you heard from businesses, Jean-Phillipe, already saying, what am I going to do, or how do I comply, or what's going to happen? Have you heard that already? Are you hearing that?
I mean, we're getting quite a bit of calls from people who are concerned, particularly with the signage laws. And remember, this is not, especially for businesses that have large signs already outside their premises. You may need to even go to the municipality to get a new permit for this kind of thing. I don't even know if in some areas you can really just add French text. Is it really permitted by municipal laws? I don't know. It's not just a charter of French language. It's also municipal bylaws that might include restrictions on what you can actually put on the sign.
So there's a lot of vagueness attached, if you will, to this, and we're figuring this out as we go along. I'm hoping at least the government, can you tell me, Matt, are they giving you some leeway here from what you understand to how to apply this?
We have 2 years to sell off any products that were purchased before, from what we're told. But the complaints can happen immediately. So if somebody comes in and complains on a specific set of guitar strings, we have to stop selling them. Or we face pretty extreme fines. And the reality of that, if we use guitar strings, we have 142 sets of guitar strings right now at any of our stores. There are 6 guitar strings that have French on them. And that's in the world. I've scoured the entire world. We'll have 6 individual SKUs of strings, and that's all that's going to be available in Quebec. Everything else has to go.
Okay.
According to the law.
It seems kind of ludicrous. I mean, we're talking just about musical instruments. I think when this originally was discussed, we talked about what happens if you want to buy a stove, right? The instructions are in English. They give you a template you can stick on it. That apparently is not going to be good enough, Jean-Phillipe, or that would qualify?
I mean, I believe at this point it would qualify. I mean, remember there was a debate about whether the digital screens of these products would need to be translated. I mean, the Quebec government backed down on that. So at least you'll be able to buy these appliances, and there's no you're not forced to modify the software inside the appliance.
There's a big win. Okay. Matt, what does this mean for you going forward as far as business goes? I mean, you're a company, you're across the country, right? This is a Canadian company.
Yeah, we have 108 locations, 18 in Quebec. Where the main point is products are going to disappear off the shelves because none of these companies, Quebec is too small. They're not going to print a special package for any of them, and it's impossible for us. 100,000 products in the store. I can't create sticker overlays for all the products. So we're going to comply, but what that means is that there's going to be less and less products available to musicians in Quebec, and especially schools, because there's no reeds for woodwinds, there's no drumsticks that have French on. There's any instrument that we use, none of the packaging is in French. Reeds are made. There's some made in Paris, and they don't provide French packaging. It's only English packaging. So
this is crazy.
We don't know what's going to happen. It's just going to be not going to be available. But Amazon's still allowed to sell it online, apparently. So we'll be directing people to our website. We have no other choice. And then the sales won't happen in Quebec.
Until they decide to block those sales, if they can figure that out, I'm sure they would try to do that.
I don't know how they would, but if they could figure it out.
I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Matt, I thank you for the time. Maybe we can follow up on this in a few weeks. Jean-Phillipe, thanks so much. So there you go. This is part of Bill 96 going into effect June 1st. And I think you can sense just from this conversation the headache this is now going to cause for people, small businesses especially. So we'll follow up. It's kind of crazy. 5-4, and it takes one person. Here we go again. It takes one person. You said they have 2 years to be able to clear out goods? It takes one person to walk in to complain about something not being in French, and then bang, you're in trouble. One person, anonymously.
The very latest news, reported and discussed. Welcome back to Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children. We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Yeah. Robert F. Kennedy, he is, of course, the U.S. Health Secretary. That announcement made yesterday, and I just thought we should follow up on this, to get reaction and find out where our position is here in Canada, because, of course, we don't really talk much about COVID anymore. Dr. Chris Labos, you know him. He is a regular contributor here on CJAD. He's a cardiologist with a degree in epidemiology. And, Chris, let me ask the question. Robert F. Kennedy obviously has a different set of what he considers to be important things to get done. This was one of them. He talked about something in the Trump administration, this Make America Healthy Again routine. What do you make of this? And where are we on this in terms of, what Canada's plan is?
So, unfortunately, it's not very surprising. I mean, they said very, very clearly what they intended to do when they got into office. All the people there, Marty Macri and RFK Jr. and Jay Bhattacharya, they were all very clear in their opposition to much of what the government did with respect to COVID. Interestingly enough, the people at this announcement, which was posted on social media for some reason, because that's how we communicate information to the public now, there was nobody from the CDC there. And it's striking that you're talking about changing the CDC recommendations with nobody from the CDC actually there. So, I mean, a lot of this is being driven by, let's face it, by the political ideology of the people in power now, not necessarily by what, the scientists and what the people working at the CDC actually believe. In terms of how this affects us in Canada, well, the short answer is it doesn't. Just because the U.S. does something doesn't mean we don't. And there have been differences in our policy, sometimes subtle, sometimes more pronounced. I mean, the policy here in Canada for now remains the same, which is the COVID vaccine is open to everyone. Nobody's getting forced to get vaccinated. To be fair, nobody was ever forced to get vaccinated, contrary to what a lot of people claim. It is there. You can get it. Obviously, there are going to be higher risk and lower risk people. So the older you are, the more, medical problems you have, the more higher risk you are going to be for complications. And so, everybody does benefit, but not everybody benefits equally. And for some people, the benefits are going to be much higher. And for some people, the benefits are going to be much lower.
I said when just before I asked you the question that we don't really talk much about COVID-19 anymore. For the longest time, we'd say there's a few cases here. These many people are still sick. Is part of the rationale here, do you think, the fact that it's gone and we don't have to worry about this anymore?
Well, it's not gone. It's just that we don't measure COVID-19 cases anymore, right? We're not testing people for COVID-19. The only way you can get a COVID-19 test now is to actually be sick enough to end up in hospital. So, you are right in the sense, and I guess the spirit of the question was, there's not as much severity as there was at the beginning of the pandemic, and that is largely true because of, survival bias. If you've survived COVID once, the likelihood is you're going to survive it a second time. The reason why it doesn't seem as severe is because all the people who died are dead already, and they're not around to sort of inflate the mortality number. So you are right. If you survived COVID, it is likely going to be a similar type of infection this time around. So you're probably not going to get as sick. So you're probably not going to end up in hospital. And that's why we don't talk about it as much, because it's not disruptive to the system, because you're not seeing the same number of cases draining resources out of the healthcare field. It doesn't occupy the thinking of, government, and therefore it doesn't, translate into the media. You're still going to get sick, and it's not fun to get sick, and we don't really know what the long-term implications of repeated COVID infections are. Probably not a good thing. And so, that's why you've seen this sort of, I guess, not compromised position, but I think sort of a more simplified messaging, which is like, look, COVID is not going away. It's going to keep coming back. It's going to keep making people sick and, getting people to call in sick for work and, be sick for many days. And there's a lot of economic productivity that is lost because of it. So the vaccine is there. It's going to minimize the implications and the side effects of a COVID infection. And in much the same way that the flu vaccine is a different flu vaccine every year because it's a different flu virus, the
Right.
COVID vaccine is going to be a different COVID vaccine every year because the virus keeps mutating and changing every year, which is unfortunately why we all keep getting reinfected.
So, come this fall, we're in the summer now. Typically, we don't really talk about this kind of stuff now. What is the recommendation? I know his directive, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s, and he goes out of his way to say it, are healthy pregnant women and healthy children.
Yeah.
If you have any kind of an issue, is this still a matter with respect to COVID-19 of making sure that you do get vaccinated? Where are we on that?
Yeah, so I think while the government may change their recommendations for the fall, I don't think they're going to make any drastic changes. I think they're going to give a stronger recommendation to the high-risk groups, right? The older, the people who are immunocompromised, the people with pre-existing medical problems. But there is a benefit to be had even if you are quote-unquote healthy. The reason why we were recommending the COVID vaccine to pregnant women is not so much for them, although obviously for them, because there was some early data suggesting that if you got COVID while pregnant, that could have some adverse effects in terms of putting you into early labor, et cetera, et cetera. But the other advantage is once you have antibodies against something, you pass those antibodies on to your baby, right? So, who's most at risk from COVID? The very, very old, but also the very, very young. And so passing antibodies onto your baby, that is an advantage. And so there are reasons why you do this sort of thing. So I think we're in a situation now where I don't think the government is going to be restricting the COVID vaccine in the same way that they are in the U.S. That would genuinely shock me. I think there would be a lot of pushback to that. I think it will be available, and it will be up to people to go and make an appointment. So in the same visit where you go and get your flu vaccine, you're going to be probably able to get your COVID vaccine at the same time, which would essentially be the policy that we had last year just reapplied to this fall.
So the idea being, as it has been for quite some time, if you have an existing medical condition, this is kind of off the board. Do what you have to do to take care of yourself.
Exactly that, and get vaccinated against the COVID and influenza, and then we'll see if they actually cover the RSV vaccine, which is the other virus that circulates in waves and can make people quite sick.
All right. Dr. Labos, appreciate it as always. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Take care.
Because you don't want to miss a thing. Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
So this story came up yesterday about tattoos. Never really thought about this much, but obviously lots of people get them. More and more people seem to be getting them. But there is something to do here, at least in Canada, with the fact there may be some health issues tied to this. Matt Grillo from CTV was on this story. Here's part of that report.
Tattoos can increase the risk of certain cancers. That's according to a recent study that finds tattoos might actually carry a health risk, an increase in the risk of certain cancers. Danish and Finnish researchers found that people with tattoos larger than the size of their palm were twice as likely to develop skin cancer and lymphoma. The editor-in-chief of Quebec Science magazine says tattoo inks are not as strictly regulated in Canada, and as a result, some ingredients in the ink might be harmful.
What? I didn't know any of this. And I bet people getting tattoos didn't either. We're just finding this out now, so I thought we should try to find out more. Dr. Lisa Iannattone is an assistant professor of dermatology at the U of M's Faculty of Medicine, and she is on the line. Doctor, let me pick up on what we just heard there. How much of this did we know before?
So we've known that tattoo inks are not regulated for a very long time. And as they become more popular and people want different types of tattoos, especially all of these beautiful bright colors that we're seeing these days, the industry has come out with more and more ink colors. And because there isn't a really good, there isn't really good regulation on these colors, we don't know exactly what pigments are being used. Some of these bright colored pigments are actually the same ink that is used in printer ink. And so we do know that this is a problem and an area that probably deserves more regulation.
Okay, and I mentioned, I think in the report he talked about the fact, as you just said, in Canada it's not regulated. In the U.S. it's different, is it not?
I'm actually not too sure about the differences in regulation between Canada and the U.S. In Europe, it definitely seems to be more controlled. There are colors that are banned in Europe that are available here in Canada because of their carcinogenic potential.
Okay, so someone listening to this, or maybe a parent of a child getting something like this, what's the concern and what do you do? At what point do you need to become concerned, perhaps?
So the issue is really that we don't know what is being injected exactly, and it's not even your tattoo artist's fault. There's an issue with mislabeling. So a lot of these tattoo ink companies, their labels are incorrect. There was actually a study that was done that showed that up to 93% of the labels were incorrect, were missing ingredients. So you don't know exactly what is being injected. And in that, there are different concerns. So some of them, the bacterial load of the ink, even if it was sealed, is too high. So there's an infection risk from that. And then for others, there's an allergy risk. So like one ingredient that wasn't on the label when it should have been is like propylene glycol, which a lot of people are allergic to. So even if you know that you have this allergy and you ask your tattoo artist about it, they check the label, it's not in there, but it actually is because your ink is mislabeled. And then the other issue is that some of these compounds are carcinogenic, so they have the potential to cause cancer, and that also isn't necessarily on the label.
Well, there's all the good news, boys and girls, about what you could be getting when you're getting a tattoo. I guess my question is, there, as I said off the top, lots of people have tattoos. Is there a point where you should be worried, or can you do something now to say, maybe I want to check on what I already have on now? Like, what do you do?
So basically, there is a theoretical cancer risk. We don't know if it's a true risk. There are a couple of studies that came out in the last couple of years that have raised a lot of questions. So the studies that were mentioned in that report do show that maybe there is this real risk of lymphoma or skin cancer. But in one of those studies, the cohort was too small to reach what we call statistical significance. So is there really a difference between people that have tattoos or not? It almost reached statistical significance, but it did not. So we would need a larger cohort to know for sure. And in the second study, it was, again, an even smaller study where the total number of cancers for lymphoma was 7 and for skin cancers was, I think, 27. So they raise questions for sure, but they absolutely do not confirm a cancer risk. There are large studies that have been kicked off in Europe recently, but we're going to take 5 to 10 years to have the results of those.
Okay, I hope we didn't needlessly worry everybody or anybody based on these very small studies. I think when we spoke about this yesterday, I think the study also showed there was one that involved mice who were given these tattoos. I'm like, how'd they do that? But anyway, that's a whole other story. I wonder, should you maybe start to worry here? Say you've had a tattoo, if you develop any kind of rash or skin symptom, is that a reason for concern?
Yeah, so basically that's what we do see most often with tattoos is these allergic skin reactions. And they can appear soon after your tattoo, but they can also appear years later because the tattoo pigment that's in your skin can break down over time into different components. And so a tattoo that you've had for a few years without issue can suddenly develop an allergic reaction. And these sometimes are small allergic reactions that we can control with just like a steroid cream, and sometimes can be more significant allergic reactions that are harder to control, and the treatment can go up towards removing the tattoo surgically.
Is that a major procedure now to do that surgically?
I mean, it's a surgical intervention, and it depends on the size of your tattoo, right? So there was one case that was reported a couple of years ago of a gentleman who reacted to his red pigment, and he had a lot of red tattoo pigment across his body, and it took him 6 surgeries with skin grafts to get rid of it all. Yeah.
Okay. So not to panic anyone, it doesn't seem like there have been enough studies. Not to say that it's not potentially a problem, but obviously pay attention. Exactly. If something does come up, you want to just have it looked at. Dr. Iannattone, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Bringing you the breaking news and the people making it. Montreal Now with Aaron Rand. CJAD 800.
You may remember going back now, I guess 2 weeks, right? The big announcement we were going to get, Quebec was going to get its first ever Michelin guide for restaurants here. And obviously that's a pretty big deal. It has been for many, many years in the restaurant business. So to find out Quebec was finally going to get its own guide was exciting. And then we found that, of course, not only did we get our own guide, a variety of restaurants in Quebec, a lot of them, by the way, most of them in Quebec City, including the only 2 Michelin-starred restaurant that was rated. That was interesting, and I had a lot of people kind of scratching their heads wondering, well, wait a sec, we know the food in Quebec City is good, but hey, Montreal's a foodie city. You'd have thought we'd have had more here. Well, we ended up with 3 restaurants in Montreal, in this area, getting a Michelin star, which, as I said, is a huge accomplishment. And I kept reading about how as soon as that happened, phones started ringing off the hooks at these restaurants. So we thought we'd follow up. Simon Mathys is master chef and owner at one of those Michelin-starred restaurants. It is called Mastard, and he is on the line. Simon, thanks for taking the time. And first of all, congratulations.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me start by asking, first of all, I think people wonder this. Did you have any idea this was coming? Did you know? Do you know when someone was there as an inspector to rate you? How did that work?
We didn't know nothing except for the date that the guide is coming out. That's the only thing that we knew. And yes, pretty excited when the day came. And
how did you find out the same way we all find out? How did you find out?
Yes, the same way as everybody. We were. Everybody is on all the team was on the phone, checking the list when it comes out, and yeah, we found out all together.
Did you? I'm curious too. Now that you find out that way. Did you have any idea who the person was who'd come there? Anyone know who? No?
No. There's no way we can find out.
They're pretty secretive that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So First of all, for people who don't know, Mastard, how long have you been around?
We've been open for now 4 years.
And it's been going pretty good up until now anyway?
Yes, everything's going good.
And am I right when I say that after this, it's gone kind of crazy?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah, it's going crazy. All the recognition, the clientele, people in the street. It's just crazy.
Now, go ahead.
But it was just crazy to see people in the streets and to say, "Wow, congratulations!" And the neighbors, everything is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where is the restaurant for people who don't know?
We're on Bélanger Street, between Papineau and Delorimy.
Okay, and so if you were now, you read this, even if you're not a foodie, right? But you're thinking, hey, I'd like to go visit a restaurant that actually has a Michelin star. It's in my own hometown. If I was to call today to Mastard and try to make a reservation, when is the first time I could get a table?
It depends what time you want to come. Prime time, probably September.
September?
Yeah. But there's going to be more, I don't know how it's going to work. We're opening the reservation soon for September. Because we only opened the reservation for 3 months in advance.
Okay.
And since the announce, it got pretty busy.
I bet, yeah. So let me, just so people understand, first of all, are you open 5 days a week? How often are you open?
Yeah, we're open Monday to Friday.
Okay.
So we close on weekends. And we only have 43 seats in the restaurant.
Okay.
So we're doing around 60 clients a night.
Okay, so you do like a seating and a half? Is that the idea?
Almost, yeah.
Okay. I would ask too. So it's funny because when you said you're open Monday to Friday, I've never been there. I've never eaten there, so I didn't know this. Most restaurants in this city have their biggest days on Saturdays and Sundays when people go out to eat, but you decided not to do that. Was that the idea from the beginning?
Yes, we've been doing this for 3 years and a half now. It was a choice for the family to have like a work and life balance. For us, for all the team, make sure everybody have their weekends off to spend time with their families and kids. And
that's pretty amazing. I mean, that's great. Obviously, people who work for you must love that idea, which is wonderful for a restaurant. By the way, how many people do you have employed? Like, how many people are part of the team?
We're now 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 14 people.
Back in front.
Okay, 14 people. And when you got into this restaurant, where had you been before?
It's been now 20 years, and I'm cooking. I've been around in Quebec City at Le Riz for a couple of years. I've worked at Restaurant Manitoba as well for 4 years before. I've worked with a couple of great chefs in Montreal. So I had the chance to work with great masters.
Wow. And then ultimately decided to open your own place here. Did you talk about Ferrer from Europea?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Did you work with the chef, Chef Ferrer from Europea?
No, I didn't work for him.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard the name.
No.
Where did you work here? I'm just curious because I want to know. In Montreal, who did you work? Where did you work at?
I worked at the Restaurant Manitoba. I was a chef there for 4 years.
Okay.
I've worked with Stelio at Les Conserves. It was on Papineau Street.
Okay.
I worked with Gilles Herzogne in Laval at Derrière le Fagot.
Wow. So you've been around. Okay.
Yeah, I've been around for. Like I said, I had a good chance to work with
That's great.
A lot of great chefs. So.
Now, for people who'll never get to, by the way, I should mention it's not exactly inexpensive to eat at Mastard, right?
It's a 5 service for $90.
5 service for $90, and you have only a fixed menu.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
It's like inviting you to my home. Like you're sitting down and I'm taking care of you. You tell me if you don't like, you have allergies, some stuff that you don't eat, and we're doing the menu
very cool.
according to. It's like if I go to your home, I'm not going to choose what I eat. It's kind of the concept.
Yeah, if you come to my home, you're not going to eat anything, just so you know. There's nothing to eat in my house. Unless you like salad in a bag, there's nothing to eat in my house.
Perfect. I like that.
So, again, first of all, as I said off the top, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You mentioned you keep hearing from people, and I think that's wonderful. For Montrealers, because let's face it, tourists who come here, they'll look at a Michelin guide and say, oh, look at this restaurant is there, we want to eat there. When I first asked you how long you have to wait, and you said September, and you're open Monday to Friday. If I wanted to come, you don't do lunch, right?
No, we don't do lunch, no.
So what's your earliest seating for dinner?
We open at 6, and we close the kitchen on Monday to Thursday at 9:30, and Friday at 10.
Okay. So even for someone who wanted to come at 6, figuring they can't get anything else, even at 6 o'clock, if you wanted to take the earliest reservation, you still could not get anything as it stands right now until September.
Honestly, I didn't check every day, to be quite honest.
Okay.
But maybe the best thing is to call the restaurant directly and ask for the Med Hotel to check if there's availability, or go online. I'm mostly in the kitchen, so.
Okay, well, good for you. You do the main cooking? Is there pastry? Do you have a pastry chef as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm wondering too, for people, first of all, when I said expensive, I thought this was going to be several $100s. So, not that $90 is necessarily inexpensive, but that's pretty good for a prefix for $90 for 5 courses. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. It's a 5 courses, but we have canapes and mignardises at the end. That's included in the menu. And we want to, we've always the focus to have people that can come not only one time in a year. They can visit us a couple of times.
I think that's great. So since I can't get there until September, can I pick up for takeout?
Takeout? No, since COVID, we didn't.
That's
do
too bad. That's a shame.
Yeah, we stopped.
I thought maybe that would work. Listen, congratulations to you again, Simon. All the
you
best
so
to you. Hope one day we can run into each other. I'd love to get down there, so I will take a look. I'll be there at 6 o'clock if I can find a reservation.
Perfect. Let me know.
Take good care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Simon Mathys at the Restaurant Mastard. The other two, by the way, which I've now forgotten. One is Europea, which used to be on Mountain Street. It's now in the hotel. I think it's the Rockapella Hotel on the corner of René Lévesque and Mountain. That's the other one. And the third restaurant, completely just skipped my mind, forgotten for now, but it'll come back to me. But we have 3 Michelin-starred restaurants in Montreal. There's also one, by the way, in Rimouski, too. Sabayon, that's the other one, right? Okay. So there you go. Nice for Montreal. Good for Montreal.
This has been the Montreal Now podcast.
Listen live on your radio weekday afternoons from 2 to 6
on CJAD 800
or through the iHeartRadio app.